Hey there friends, welcome back to another Legally Armed America video. Once again, I am Paul Glasgow here. Looking forward to this video today because it's going to stir some things up. I think you'll probably want to, one of two things. You'll either want to share this video with friends or family members, or you'll probably unfollow my channel. Yeah, it's going to be one of those kinds of videos. And you know, I like putting videos like that out every now and then because what it does is it makes us critically think a little bit more. You know, sometimes we get lost in the lull sometimes where I'm not saying we repeat the same things like the wackos on the far left do, but sometimes when we get caught up in a vacuum, it's easy for us to go, that's exactly what I was thinking. And sometimes when we shake things up, it makes us, I don't want to say think outside the box because I hate that cliche, but it does get to a point where we start thinking independently. And that's what I'm going to do today. For those of you who might get your feelings hurt, I'm not apologizing because I'm not sorry for anything that I'm going to say today. But I'm sorry that you hold my honesty against me. And I'll just leave it at that. First of all, guys, check out the shirt that I'm wearing. This is another one of my shirts that TriStar Trading is selling for me over there. I love this shirt. It was one of my favorite shirts from the previous vendor who made my shirts. Now I'm getting better shirts made, the softest shirts in the industry over at TriStar Trading. This is my neighborhood watch shirt. This is a design that I came up with years ago and was one of my top selling designs at the last place that sold my shirts. And cool thing was TriStar pretty much just took it over and printed it exactly like it was. I love the concept of the neighborhood watch program having a shotgun and a shovel. I always thought that was such a cool concept. It's definitely a crowd pleaser. When I go to any of these events, I have stickers that have the same logo on it, and it's equally popular there. So go check it out. The link is in the description down below of the video. Again, it's for TriStar Trading. Click the link down below. It'll take you to all of the merchandise that I have over at TriStar Trading, so you can pick some of the other shirts that I have there as well. But this one is super cool. I've got it and I love it. I wear it often. I've got more than one of the exact same color just because I like wearing the shirt so much. And then again, it's such a crowd pleaser. So check it out, TriStar Trading. The link is in the description down below. You guys have no doubt heard the wackos on the far left lighting their hair on fire since yesterday when Trump fired the chairman of Joint Chiefs of Staff, C.Q. Brown. Trump said he plans to nominate Lieutenant General Dan Raisin Kane of the U.S. Air Force to replace General C.Q. Brown as the nation's top-ranking military officer. And it's funny to me that the lunatics on the left all suddenly have become military experts. They know who the right people are to lead the military, even though most of them have never even seen a camouflage shirt before, let alone been enlisted in the military. But they're all experts now because they're listening to what the far left says. In fact, if you go Google right now, at least a couple of hours ago, you can see based on the different publications and how they lean, they either frame the story with a picture of Brown and then they say that he was fired, or if it's more of a middle of the road, they don't talk about the person who was fired. They talk about the person who was hired, which is Raisin Kane. So it's funny how everybody picks their own headline based on what their audience is leaning towards or what their agenda is. So that was kind of funny to me. I have to ask the question, did anybody ever care before who the Joint Chiefs of Staff was? I mean, we literally have a black guy getting pulled out and a white guy getting put in, which is not unusual. Certainly not unusual to have a change of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. None of that is unusual, except that this is a Trump administration, and when you replace a black guy with a white guy, only thing that could have made it worse is if he would have been a black woman or a blue-haired butt plug woman. You know, if you could have thrown some more of those little left-leaning wackadoodle things in there and then replace it with a straight white Christian man, the internet would have exploded last night. So it could have been worse. They could have had definitely a better argument. But that's the only reason why they're saying anything. Otherwise, had they ever noticed before whenever there was a change with Joint Chiefs of Staff? But I got to tell you, this guy is a dirtbag. I've got no love for this guy. I've often had disdain for this guy because of his views. He's always taken advantage of his position to push his racist views. He was very vocal in supporting Black Lives Matter after the drug addict, dope head George Floyd OD'd. This guy, before all the facts were out, still came out in support of George Floyd, and I'll give you some clips of his video that he came out when he just preached to the entire world about his views of being a black man. Even though he's one of the most highly decorated black men, poor me, I'm black, I hate whitey. You know, I don't think there's a place for that in the military. I think of all things, and you guys in the military or who have been in the military know this, the military is a team effort. It's not about me, or it should be a team effort. It should never be about the individual. And whenever our military started focusing on DEI, race, gender, trannies, all those things like that, started focusing on the person and got the focus off of the unit. And that goes against everything the military stands for. I've never been in the military, but I know what they stand for. I know plenty of people who have been in the military, some that are in it now. And it's not an I. It's a team effort. And this guy has shifted all the focus over the years to him, to make it about him, his little pity party. Poor me, I'm black, but look at me and look how successful I am. Like he worked against all the odds and overcame everything to still be as big and successful as he is. If the military and the world were truly as racist as he claims, he never would have been in the positions that he was actually in. He was treated equally. One of the biggest stains on the military and on Brown were this letter that he sent out in August of 2022. And I'll read the letter to you here in a second. But essentially what it does is it states, based on percentages of what skin color and race are and gender in the United States, that whatever those percentages were, he wanted to target hiring practices or recruiting practices for the Air Force based on those numbers. In other words, if you look at his chart right here, 43% of America are white males. Well, he wanted to target only 43% of white males because any more than that would have been too white, right? Less than that, he probably would have been okay with. I doubt that he would have minded if he would have gotten 13% or more than 13% black people that were applying. But this whole directive that he's got right here is refocusing the Air Force, which is the craziest thing, to target groups of people to apply to the Air Force. I've always had a problem with people saying that this work group doesn't have enough of X or that or whatever, because everybody can apply. In other words, there's no signs on the door that says we need more white people or black people don't apply, Asians don't apply, Hispanics don't apply. There's never been a Facebook group out there that said, hey, we don't want Asians in the Air Force. The reason why the application numbers are down is because why? Because we live in a free country and those people chose not to apply. So when you start setting standards for targeting people based on their gender and their race, now you're going against people's wishes and targeting them when they weren't really wanting your job before. Some of them may apply now just because you're bugging them. Let the people who want those jobs, who want those positions in the Air Force, apply. Now, this is the hearing that he had when he was trying to get confirmed to be the Joint Chiefs of Staff head of them. This is pretty interesting. And while I do have to side with him, he was not, I know his goal was he wanted more, or I should say less, white people as officers. I know that was his goal. I mean, when a racist outs themselves, they're racist through and through. They're not like kind of racist. They're racist. So if he's racist enough to want to target less white people, his goal was to have less white people as officers. But the congressperson or senator, I don't remember who this was, who was questioning him, asked him about wanting less white people as officers. And to be fair to the general, what he's really asking for is he's wanting to target less white people, not hire less white people. Again, I know what his ultimate goal was, but I do want to be fair to him because that's what his memo states. It's more designed to target those folks. Here's the interview.
General, do we have too many white officers in the Air Force? Senator, what I really look at is the quality of all the officers that we have, and we look at the aspect of everyone who's qualified, meets the qualifications, is promoted. And
well, I would agree with you, but that answer is not consistent with your August 9th memo. In your August 9th memo, you said that you signed on to that there should be a reduction, essentially, of about 9% of the white officers. That's 5,400. We have 5,400, too many white officers. And this is the real impact, I think, of this desire of the administration. I'm saddened to see this in this memo, of this obsession with sort of race-based politics being interjected into our military. How did you come up with the percentage of 67.5% of the officers should be white? And how did you come up with 13% should be black? And how did you come up with 10% should be Asian? And how did you come up with 1.5% should be American Indian and Native Alaskan? How did you come up with 1% being Native Hawaiian or other Pacific Islander? And how did you come up with 15% of our officers should be Hispanic or Latino?
Senator, that is based on that memo is on application goals, not the actual makeup of the force. And those numbers are based on the demographics of the nation.
Okay, well, all right. There's 10% of our country is Asian American. So is that where you came up with it? Just a percentage of the population?
Essentially.
Because right now the actual percentage, I mean, this is where this is a ridiculous conversation, to be perfectly honest. Because why didn't you come up with, or are you going to come up with the percentage of the overall force? Did you contemplate that? Of how many, black Americans should be in the Air Force? Or how many Asian Americans should be in the Air Force? Did you contemplate the total force percentages?
Senator, what we looked at was the aspect of providing opportunities for anybody who wants to serve.
Listen, if that were the case, if that were what was in this memo, I wouldn't be asking you these questions. But we have in a memo signed by you that you think right now there are too many white officers.
So yes, no, racist. I mean, obviously he was very evasive in his questioning. I want to look closer at his letter, and I'm going to read you, it's only 2 paragraphs long. I'm not going to go into the percentages because you can glance at them while we read the letter. I want you to read the letter the way he wrote it first, and I'm going to show you a reading of it based on what he actually meant, but he's using less flavorful words to get his point across. Diversity and inclusion are an essential part of our society and key to the success of any organization. As such, it is imperative that the composition of our military services better reflect our nation's highly talented, diverse, and eligible population. This memorandum updates Department of the Air Force officer applicant pool goals broken down by race, ethnicity, and gender. Critically, it also continues our progress toward achieving a force more representative of our nation while leveraging that diversity to enhance the Air Force and Space Force's ability to deter and, if necessary, deny our nation's competitors. Below that says these goals are aspirational, aligning resources to invest in our long-term objectives, and will not be used in any manner that undermines our merit-based processes. More on that in a second. You are directed to develop a diversity and inclusion outreach plan aimed at achieving these goals no later than 30 September 2022. In addition, you will report annually on your progress outlining those initiatives your organizations are undertaking to enhance officer applicant pool diversity and inclusion. We appreciate your continued efforts to attract and train the best and brightest talent our nation has to offer. One team, one fight. Now, this sentence where it says these goals are aspirational, aligning resources to invest in our long-term objectives, and will not be used in any manner that undermines our merit-based process. The very fact that you are searching for people based on race and gender directly undermines merit-based processes. Because what you're doing is, you're not saying, I want everyone to apply no matter what race you are. In other words, taking race and gender out of the equation. You put out a blanket help wanted sign and say, I want every person who is the best at what they can be and who can bring the most to the Air Force. I want you to apply, and I'm going to hire the best of the best. If there's 100 people that apply and I'm looking for 10, I will take the top 10. But by putting race and gender in there, you're saying that race and gender will be part of the hiring equation. I want to attract more of those other people. So that's going to be mixed in, and it will be part of the process. That immediately undermines looking for the perfectly best and brightest based on merely a merit-based system. You are making merit a part of the process, not the process in hiring. Now, I wanted to take the time to rewrite his letter with the actual words that he's implying when he puts those fluffy words in there to try to achieve more of a soft racism view in his little letter. So let me read the entire thing to you with the right terminology placed in there. Hiring someone based on skin color is an essential part of our society and key to the success of any organization. As such, it is imperative that the skin color of our military services better reflect our nation's skin color of the various races in our population. This memorandum updates Department of Air Force officer applicant pool goals broken down by race, ethnicity, and gender. Critically, it also continues our progress toward achieving a force with the skin color of our nation while leveraging that skin color to enhance the Air Force and Space Force ability to deter and, if necessary, deny our nation's competitors. Move on to below that. We are prioritizing skin color and gender above all else for hiring, but somehow it will not be used in any manner that undermines our merit-based processes. You are directed to develop a skin color and gender targeting plan aimed at achieving these goals no later than 30 September 2022. In addition, you will report annually on your progress outlining those initiatives your organizations are undertaking to target applicants based on their skin color and their gender. We appreciate your continued efforts to attract and train the best and brightest talent our nation has to offer if they meet the racial percentages identified above regarding skin color. At the very bottom, one team, one fight, unless you're white. That's what he meant to say. Think I'm being tough on the good old general? Whenever George Floyd had a knee on his back and essentially died from his overdose on drugs, the reports, autopsy reports and everything else proves that. Again, not taking up for the cops who could have cuffed him and thrown his fat butt into the back of the squad car. But nevertheless, when all that went down and the peaceful protests that somehow resulted in burning cities to the ground, and this guy was actually supportive of not only anything done to these cities, but any of the BLM people who were burning stuff to the ground, he supported them and was very sympathetic to their very violent and unlawful cause. Here are some clips of a video that he felt the need to put out. And I want you to see how this guy's mind works. When he was at his confirmation hearing, he was on his best behavior. When he put this video out regarding the St. George Floyd riots, he had a different tone, and his message was a lot different and a lot more racist.
I'm thinking about my mentors and how rarely I had a mentor that looked like me. I'm thinking about the sound advice that has led to my success, and even so, most of my mentors could not relate to my experience as an African American.
So he's talking about how his mentors did not look like him. He's also talking about the mentors that might have told him things that led to his success. But he's saying that they didn't look like him. Who cares? If your mentors didn't like you, they would not have given you the keys to success. You sat here and just said that they gave you advice that led to your success. Yet you're bagging on these guys because they weren't black. Are you saying that only black men can give you advice? Obviously not, because you utilized and even admitted to it that the white mentors, you're just mad that they weren't black, but you're glad what they gave you. In other words, they added value to your story, to your career. You're just mad that they weren't black. That's pretty racist.
I'm thinking about my sister and I being the only African Americans in our entire elementary school and trying to fit in. I'm thinking about then going to a high school where roughly half the students were African American and trying to fit in.
So I understand the concept of he and his sister being the only black people in likely an all-white school. I'm sure that's what he's implying. I don't understand the very sad and melancholy comment directly after that of going to a high school that was 50% black and trying to fit in. Now, what does that even mean? So that means at least half the people there were black, which is well above the majority of the country based on the chart that he gave us that shows what the demographics of the United States are. So clearly there were way more black people than normal at that particular school, again, based on his numbers, and he still couldn't fit in? Does he have a problem with black people? It almost sounds like this guy doesn't get along with anybody. He doesn't like being at a school. He can't fit in with one that has mostly white people. He goes to one that has a huge chunk of it black, and he can't fit in with the black people there. It sounds like he's an a-hole. Sounds like this guy, when you see basically a forest being burned down behind somebody, at some point you start to realize this is the guy lighting the fires, right? So maybe he's the problem. Maybe it's not society. Maybe it's not mean old Whitey. Maybe it's not the black people at the high school that he went to. Maybe old Mr. Brown here is the problem.
I'm thinking about being a captain at the Oak Club with my squadron and being told by other African Americans that I wasn't black enough since I was spending more time with my squadron than with them.
So how are we supposed to take that? He's telling us, he's got a chip on his shoulder, obviously, that the black people that serve with him give him a hard time saying he's not black enough. I'm sure they use the term Uncle Tom. They love to do that. Why isn't he mad? And maybe he is. Why isn't he mad at those people? Maybe, just maybe, again, he's the problem. Because why would he bring this up now? It's almost like he took this George Floyd opportunity as an opportunity to get everything off his chest. All the things that he is bent up inside, he's just letting it out, regardless of whether or not it contributes to the point that he's trying to make. He's just mad about stuff that's hurt his feelings over the years. And this is his chance to cry on mommy's shoulder and to get it all out. To poor mouth your white mentors, to me, is crossing the line. That's kind of crappy, because you're basically saying, I took what I needed from them, but I'm pissed that they're white. To whine about going to a school that was 50% your race, which is way more than the percentage of actual black people in the country, that's whining and crying. I think you are a problem. But to sit here and act like, because other black men told you or acted like whatever they said, you're not black enough, that's those guys hating on you. So did you develop some kind of weird hate for your own race along the way? Again, it makes me wonder if you just hate everybody. You have this massive chip on your shoulder as a successful person, I might add, but you're mad still. You can't appreciate the good things in your life. I bet whoever served with this guy would tell you that he is a glass half empty guy. This sounds like the kind of guy that looks for the negative in everything. Never satisfied. If he won the lottery, he'd piss and moan that the bags of money were too heavy. That's what kind of guy we're dealing with right here. Good riddance. And I'm going to tell you another thing. This is a perfect example, and I don't care who this pisses off. It doesn't matter to me. This is truth, and this is verifiable in any workplace. I don't know about the military because I was not in the military, but I've worked at a high level in upper management for a Fortune 500 company. I was a regional manager. I had 500 and something employees work for me at another Fortune 500 company for a utility business. I know what the inner workings of that corporate world looks like. When you hire DEI people, you better like them. They better be good. You better not be hiring them to fill quotas, because they never perform up to the standard of the people that you passed over, and good luck getting rid of them. Good luck getting rid of them. Because you hired them based on skin color and gender, that's the exact same reason why you can't easily get rid of them. Because you will be called misogynist or racist when you get rid of them. It doesn't matter how poorly they perform. That does not matter. You are stuck with them. For better or worse. It's worse than a marriage. Because you could lose your job over hiring somebody that you're not hiring based on merit alone. DEI is an absolute cancer, and you have no idea how happy I am to see everyone, including the military, looking for the best person. I don't care what your sexual preference is. I don't care if you've got junk in the front. I don't care if you're a woman. I don't care. None of that matters to me. I don't care what race you are. I don't care if you have a lisp. I don't care if you're hard of hearing. I don't care if you have a limp. None of that matters to me. Are you the best? Can you do the best job? If I interview 100 people, are you the number one out of those people? Are there 99 other applicants who are not as good as you? If so, you're my guy, or my girl, or my whatever. Guys, this is a glorious time that we're in to finally be returning to a little bit of common sense for once.
I'm sorry, I thought this was America.